Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Matthew,
I'm Walter.
and this is the Provoke Total Fitness Podcast.
So today, and as you can see, we are not actually together today. We've gone back to more of a socially distant method of working, but that's just for today. Life is busy. Um, Life is busy. Scarcity and abundance. That's what we're going to talk about today. So I like to go from a place of abundance in my life. That doesn't mean I have a lot, but it means I'm grateful for a lot. And I think that that's one of the things that has to be dealt with when you're talking about abundance in life. Um, Money is important. Holding money is not important to me. What do you think?
So, yeah, I agree. Like you said, abundance is, there's a lot that I'm grateful for. There's a lot that, certain things that a lot of people would look at and say they don't have. I'm the opposite spectrum where I look at what I do have and I'm grateful for that. So I have an abundance, even though it may not be a lot. There's still that idea of, yeah, you still have to be grateful for the abundance you do have. The idea of money, however, because that is our topic today, is about the abundance or scarcity of money. I do kind of agree. I don't necessarily. It feels good to have money in hand, and it feels good to have a constant cash flow and to feel safe per se. But it's not necessarily something that you need to have an abundance of, air quotations there. Reason being is there's certain points where it can control you, right? So what we're talking about is more, the spectrum of very poor, sometimes, literally nothing, making nothing, homeless sometimes, to the uber rich, the top 1% of the world, right? So I do kind of agree with that statement. So if we're going to get into it right away with that, let's start on the idea of control. How often, just you personally, Walter, how often have you let something control you in your life? Not just money, just in general. And I know this is going to be a pretty easy answer.
Always.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, we've talked. Drugs and alcohol did a lot of controlling of my life, but so did anger, so did sex, so did, I mean,
yeah,
you name it. It was easier in my former life to let externals control who I was and what I did.
right.
Uh, and mostly that was because of a feeling of scarcity. I didn't have enough of anything. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money, so I'm worried. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drink because I'm still worried about not having enough money. And one of the reasons I don't have any money is because I'm drinking, but that's okay. But now I'll just get some blow and do that too. I should perhaps not have said that, but it that's how it rolled. That there was
Yeah,
always, because there wasn't enough of whatever in my
right,
life, I had to get more, and
right,
it never
right.
worked. It never worked because in my brain, there's not enough. There's not enough.
Never enough.
So $1 million is not enough.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what I find interesting about the idea, because a lot of people will look at money and they won't look at it as a vice per se. They'll look at the things they can buy with it as the vice, but they won't look at it as the thing that's also causing them some external issue. Because money is so constant. You hear about it all the time. You're looking at prices every day when you go into a shop. There's constant stimulation of this idea of that, you know, having more money is good, having no money is bad. You need to have a great job when you get out of high school and college so you can make a ton of money and you don't end up like this person or that person. You know, buy this, buy this. This will make you happy if you buy this. This will make you, if you don't have this, what are you doing with your life, right? There is constant stimulation going on every single day that basically just subliminally messages people into this idea that you need to have the most. And how do you do that is having the most money will get you the most. It's not even experience. It's just will give you the most materialistic product and they excuse it sometimes as experience.
I think though, when you look at it, what you're actually getting is a dopamine rush.
Yeah.
I can buy this now. I've got this, and the rush comes, and but then it's gone. So
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to buy next? And what are you going to buy next? And there's a whole industry that feeds on that. You're too young, but there was a book called Subliminal Seduction in the 70s that did things like look at pictures of ice cubes in the glass in the ad, which had all these other shapes and things within the glass to make you think that it was more attractive to drive you towards buying
Right.
that alcohol or that car or whatever. And and when it really comes down to it, it's just we're always aiming for that little bit of a hit
Yeah.
for what we've got, what we accomplished, what we did,
Yeah.
but then it's gone.
Well, let's look at COVID. A lot of people lost their job and they're on $2,000 a month. I will say, I'm not going to name names, but
In
I
this,
had,
in
yeah,
this,
in this country, yeah. Um, so I have friends that ended up losing their job. They were making more money before, spending a little bit less. Um, they would spend money on nights out, stuff like dinners and which you can chalk up to experiences, which we'll get into a little later. But then it turned into I don't have a job, I'm at home all day. There's no dopamine rush per se, right? So what's the next best thing? Amazon has a COVID sale. Oh my god, $20 off of this Bluetooth speaker that I already have 10 of, but this one can stick to the wall inside my bathroom or my shower, so I definitely need that. And it's
waterproof.
just order after order after order, and it's look at the price, look at the net worth of Jeff Bezos, right? Look at the stock of Amazon. Look at the stock of all of these online realtors who have just exploded because that's what people did. It just turned into, I can't. It's like what you said. I don't have enough, so they end up buying more just to give them a little bit of a dopamine rush, right?
And then to make matters worse, they then add the carb hit to it.
Yeah,
So they're eating badly while they're ordering these things, and then they're feeling worse about themselves because of all that.
exactly.
And you have to just constantly medicate that.
Yeah, so I don't want to stray too far off topic, but the idea of, I will say this personally. I'll say a lot of this is going to be, personal because it is kind of a touchy subject to talk about for a
Yeah.
lot of people, right? But in terms of the abundance, I personally would like an abundance of money to a certain point. I'm not looking at becoming freaking $500 million in my bank account. I would like to have a certain amount a month where I can live a certain way. You know,
Mm.
I can afford car payments. I could afford a house payment. I can go out to dinner. I get a cheap meal a week. So, four times, spend $50.
Like, yeah.
I know. Spend $50 four times a week. If
Yeah.
I want to, I'm not big on the club scene or partying, so it's not like that matters to me. And I'm not big on fancy restaurants. Honestly, the way I eat, I kind of, I eat seven times a day, six, 7 times a day. I don't really find it that it's kind of a waste of money when I go out and spend $300 on a restaurant for one person, right? It's
Mm.
not. So that's, the stuff I actually enjoy. If I want to upgrade, buy a video game, I have the money to do it. If I want to buy, like I've mentioned before, I'm a DJ. I produce music. If there's a new uh, piece of software or there's a new piece of hardware that I really want, I can save, and maybe I can't afford it just then when it comes out. But if I put aside 2 months, 3 months worth, then it's doable. That's the type of money that I'm comfortable with having is that constant kind of flow of being able to survive, but not, have to survive because, living paycheck to paycheck or, doing whatever I can to just make money. I don't want that style of life, right? However, to add on to that, I would also like to have more so I can give more. Because it gets to a point, yeah, it's great to constantly be giving to yourself and, helping people out here and there, paying for coffee or paying for a dinner for a friend once in a while. But giving a little bit more back to certain charities per se that I want to be helpful to, or whatever I can. But remember that statement because I do want to come back to it. But yeah, that's kind of my idea.
Okay. Okay. It makes sense. All of it makes sense. I would then ask you, what happens when you see that other house? You bought a house.
Hmm.
You see this other house, and it's got that one room that would be so good for you to be able to mix music in.
Yeah.
It would be a separate room just for that. Do you then think I have to buy that house? How do you move from that? I have been in the reno loop for a while now.
Yeah.
So you get a certain amount of money in. It's a new kitchen. Okay, now I have no money. Now I have to get some more money because I want a new bathroom. And it just keeps adding on that way. The abundance that I would like would be to not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this thing because the
Right.
money is going to come. And
Yeah.
secret would have you believe that if you believe that it's going to come, it will flow in certain ways. But you have to have a hell of a lot of faith.
Yeah.
And I think most of us don't have that kind of faith.
There's a little bit of work you have to apply to
Yeah.
it as well, right? That's what people forget. I totally
Yeah.
understand that. I was telling Walter before this that I just got my squat rack and my bench, adjustable bench in today. I'm already looking a year down the line when I want to open a little studio. So I'm already looking at, okay, when can I afford the next set of weights? When can I afford the kettlebells? When can I afford, maybe I want a specific machine. When can I afford that? Right? It's like what you said. There's certain things for me. For houses, I'm not. If for a house it has what I want when I start, I'm kind of fine with it. I'm not that big on like needing the extra the extra marble countertop or the extra bathroom or something like that. But my thing would be, yeah, if I have a gym, I definitely want every single piece of equipment, and I will do exactly what you do, kind of be in that loop of, oh, I got the money, throw it at the problem, not the problem, but it can be a problem at
Yeah.
times, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that's kind of how the abundance kind of attracts people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the opposite end of that, the scarcity of it, that's what scares people, right? You're always told, you have to. It's from day one in school, you're basically told work hard, study hard, so you can get a good job and live a good life. Because if you don't have this certain amount of money or you don't do this for a living, you don't have a good life. And it's a terrible way of looking at things because I personally, I will say, as long as I had a gym and as long as I had, a computer to make music on and stuff like that, I would be more than happy living out in a cabin in the woods in the middle of freaking nowhere where, yeah, maybe sometimes I had to hunt for my own food because there's something about that life that just seems incredible. It's the same idea of the the lawyer who sold his Ferrari and became a massive, massive guru, right? Robin Sharma.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that whole idea of giving up everything to go have nothing and learn the importance and the value and the being grateful for what you internally have, there's something to say about that.
I think definitely that my belief system again is that you're going to have that no matter what.
Yeah,
Part of the human existence, part of what we're given at some point is going to be that falling off point where you have to learn the lessons.
hmm
We talk about how, you hear this and you hear that. I mean, money doesn't grow on trees. You're not going to get that just by thinking about it. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. All those things are ingrained in us. We may be taught in school about accounting principles. We're not taught about money. We're
yeah,
not taught how it works, what a savings account really does, what compound interest really is. Because you tell that to a kid who's in an accounting class, and it doesn't have the same meaning as here's your penny, here's your 2 pennies. See how it became three? See how it became a quarter?
yeah, yeah.
That's
I know what you
going
mean.
to be it. But on top of that, most families don't talk about money.
Yeah,
You know, there's a money issue. The wife knows the husband, she has to pinch the pennies, and the husband knows he has to work a little harder in a really, really 1950s family. But you know, that's the sort of that's still a model that is in everybody's mind. Um, but nobody sort of goes, let's sit down tomorrow night and go over the bills and talk about what we need to do and how we can make this a better situation.
Yeah.
There's so little of that kind of teamwork
Hmm.
that, and it's because it's not polite to talk about money, you know?
Well, there's so many people still believe that you can't talk to your coworker about your salary because they think there's some law against it,
Yeah.
right? Which is a total lie, right? You should be talking to your coworker about your salary, right? That's how companies get away with paying you less and paying somebody else more,
Exactly.
right? But it's a really good point to bring up because a lot of people have zero problem going out, spending $200 a week at a club, buying 10 drinks at a club,
Yeah.
right? Because it's worth the experience. I had so much fun, this and that. Okay, take $50 from your paycheck, put it into a interest savings account, or better yet, there's tons of websites and apps now that you can actually take that money and invest it. And you don't even have to worry about what you can, the company will do it for you for free. You just put the money, give them the money, tell them, I want a 60-40 portfolio split between high risk and low risk.
Yeah.
They'll take that money and they'll invest it for you. Banks do the same. Your RSP, you want a 80-20 risk in terms of high return. Oh, but the money, like $50 is a lot for my paycheck and I don't get the money right now. And okay, but you have that money. $50 is, if you're spending $200 at the club, spend 150. Take the rest of it, put it in. Don't
Yeah.
even worry about it. And that accumulates over time. So again, when you get to a certain point, yeah, you're looking at a better life per se. But again, it's not something that's talked about. It's hush hush. It's, you know, you should just exactly what you said, pinch the pennies, work a
Yeah.
little harder, take an extra shift, murder yourself so you can basically survive.
Well, that's the thing too. And I mean, again, going back to the old school way of looking at it, I mean, you get the job, you work really hard, you make the money, you retire and you die.
Yeah.
You leave the money to your kids, you know? No.
Yeah.
Why are you not having a quality life as well? And if you want to leave some to the kids, yeah. I mean, I would love to leave to a foundation. I'd like to start a foundation,
Yeah.
um, and leave money to that to do the kind of charitable work that I believe in. But um, to not enjoy my life at all in order to do that, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think people are stuck in that mindset. It's either all or nothing. It's basically save everything, pinch pennies. You have to do like you have to save like, oh well, I mean, I'm like this unfortunately. It's like yeah, I could afford a trip, but in the long run, it might be better to save for now until I have a little bit more. Okay, well, 2 years down the line, I still haven't gone on that trip, right? Um, but you get the opposite spectrum of that is where people, again, what we already talked about, they just want the abundance, so they pay, spend,
Yeah.
and it's also not a good way of living. So that's where the scarcity of it comes in, and it can be humbling, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes needed. It's sometimes uh, I'm not a. Again, you guys know I'm not the most religious, but I do believe in some spiritual stuff, and it's that whole everything happens for a reason. I do believe certain people have to go through certain things to learn a lesson, and living a paycheck to paycheck. I had to do that. Deciding whether or not to spend the extra dollar uh, just as an example, on bread versus the other kind of bread. Having to actually clip coupons and look at deals and go to 3 different grocery stores just so I could afford my groceries plus rent, or sometimes even having to cut out groceries or, I always got lucky. I always was able to get by, so it wasn't. But not being able to go out kind of sucks. I was 19 when I first 19, 18ish. Yeah, 18. 18, 19 when I first moved down to Toronto. And, I moved in with a good friend of mine who was going to U of T. His parents were paying for everything. He didn't have to worry about anything really. His parents paid the rent, his parents paid his bills, all that. I was moving in, I did it all myself. So here I am looking at my friend who's going out every night, meeting new people, making new friends, doing this, doing that, where I'm literally up at 6 in the morning to get to the gym for 7 and staying at the gym until 10 o'clock at night for the chance that I might get a new client at any point in the day. And I would happily take that client no matter how badly it screwed up my sleep schedule or whatever, or how badly it affected my mental health. But, there's something to be said about having to go through that and realizing the importance of, yeah, you sometimes need to have less to appreciate more. And you also sometimes need to have less to, when you get to a certain point, to to understand that, yeah, materialistic things may not be the way of living. It might be more the experience. And like I mentioned, I was 18, 19. He went out and met new people every night. He already had a girlfriend, but in terms of business, he was meeting with people and he was creating business opportunities. I didn't even think of that. I was like, no, I'll make the business opportunities for myself in the gym. Because why would I ever go to a club to meet people for personal training? People do it all the time, you know, or better yet, I wanted to DJ. I I moved downtown for the sole purpose of DJing, and I would not go to a single club because I couldn't afford it. I could afford it. I made the excuse not to afford it because I was like, well, if I go to the club, I'd be going alone, and I don't really want to do that, and I don't have the money to pay for my girlfriend and I to go to the club, and this and that, and blah blah blah, and literally every excuse in the book. I was causing more problem for myself because of the scarcity that I thought I had. When in reality, I had an abundance of tools behind me to actually be able to get to the point where I needed to be.
And I gotta say, honestly, if you've gone with your girlfriend, then you have to be with your girlfriend. If you go by yourself, then you can be making the business contacts you have to make.
Yeah.
I mean, and as things go on, save the receipts. But it's not like you're going to drink a whole lot. It's not like you're going to spend a whole lot anyway.
Well,
You're
this is
just going
it.
to be doing business work, right? It's
Yeah.
and I not so much with clubbing, but with other things that I do, I could make a lot more clients than I make. But there's still this sense that the place to make my clients is in the gym,
Yeah.
not with the people who want to talk to me and get free information.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's kind of the hurdle that everybody has to go through. It's you associate money with work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not like that, right? To go back to my whole point though about that whole abundance and this is what I wanted to get back to though.
Yeah.
You hear the excuse all the time. Oh, if I only had more money, I'd give back. Look at Jeff Bezos with all his money and Bill Gates with all their money, and that's all they contribute to charity. To be fair, it's a lot of money they're contributing. Sure, their net worth might be 100 billion, and they just only gave away 1 million, but that still is something. And
Gates actually gave something like 3/4 of his fortune
yeah,
and then made it back.
yeah. Well,
That's
but yeah. But this is what I'm saying. It's like this whole idea of I don't have enough money to even give back to somebody. You don't necessarily need money to do certain things. You have time, and time is people associate time with money, right? You can give back through just helping somebody at a shelter. You can go to a food shelter. You can do whatever you can, right? This whole idea of you need money to give back, you need money to do this, to do that. I think that's total bullshit. There's so many ways around doing certain things, and my girlfriend is a lovely example of it. She went on a 6 week trip to Asia on a shoestring budget. Now, most of us would look at that, excuse me, most of us would be like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. And then you realize you're tight, tight, tight on a budget. You can't afford that little extra, excuse me, that little extra $2 water at the airport. No, you have to make sure you only spend $1 because that other dollar is going to your meal for the next night. It's stuff like that. And people aren't willing to, there's so much excuse behind it because, again, it's all about the abundance, it's not about the scarcity. And I think it teaches a really valuable lesson in terms of how you are living and how to see other people living when you actually have to control and not let it control you.
That's a really good point. I mean, it's one thing to think I would love my newest list, and I do a daily list of what I want in my
Yeah.
life. One of them is that I want a retreat, an annual retreat, just me, to recharge my batteries. Now, the first thought that comes to mind is there's this great place in Thailand, and you can go and you work out all morning, and they do yoga, and they have this amazing food, and blah, blah, blah. But it's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I could get pretty much the same kind of thing on a shoestring in a beautiful location. And maybe I would have to help build houses for half the day, but I would be giving that back so much more than I would be getting in return.
Yeah.
Whereas the other way would just be, oh, I'm recharged,
Yeah.
but I'm not giving.
I like what you said there. You would be giving more than you're getting.
Mm.
But at some point, you're actually getting quite a lot from that
Well, that's
experience.
it. That's it. It's a reciprocal thing, and the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
Just how do you get started? And I think
Yeah.
that's where people get stuck, because they think I need to give so much money or I need to do whatever. No, sometimes it is just go and work for half an hour in a soup kitchen.
Yeah. Dude, I will tell you, some of the Christmases, my parents or my dad's work, when he would do the Christmas parties, it got to a point where it's five of them. They stopped doing the Christmas parties because it was a waste of money to have a Christmas party for an office of five people. So what
Yeah.
did we do? We went to the soup kitchens. So our every family would show up at the soup kitchen, and there's something to be said about it. It's like it's you go in with a lot of people go in with the mindset of, unfortunately, oh, dirty work. These people are or they go in and it's like, oh, what's this even going to be? And then as a 10-year-old kid, you're like, oh, this is the last thing I want to do on a Friday night. All these like homeless people, ugh, I just want to stay at home and play video games. But then you get there and you have such an appreciation because 99% of the people are very appreciative. You get those one people that are kind of assholes half the time. But yeah, you get so much appreciation for these people have nothing yet they'll still they're so grateful for what they do have. I was driving downtown today. A guy was holding out a cup. I just gave him whatever change I had in my little change thing in my car. I think it was like $2 or something. And there's just something to be said for that guy getting $2 and how thankful he was versus I get $2. I find $2 on the street, and you're like, oh, cool, $2, and you forget about it. It's just like it's just ooh shiny, pick it up.
Yeah. If you
What?
can then turn around and give it right back into
Yeah,
the hand of someone who needs it rather than just gets it, then
yeah,
you good thing, right?
yeah. Well, it's too. When you have to work for what you make. Yeah, I was reading something the other day which I found. Um, I actually really liked it. It was this video from TikTok that this man had just bought his wife an engagement ring. And for some stupid reason, this woman thought it would be great to be like, "Oh my God, this is it." First off, I mean, that's just toxicity 101.
Yeah.
But the fact that, this man literally the look on his face when he was giving this ring was just, "Oh my God, I'm going to marry her and love is what matters, this and that. I worked so hard to get you this ring." And this is what the guy actually, I'm pretty sure, broke up with her and did, because I saw he was talking about the video after. He's like, I worked really hard to get that ring and I was really proud of it. There's something to be said about how proud you are to actually have worked for something yourself that you've wanted for a long time and gotten versus just being given something to you, right? When I got my car, it was like I didn't get any help with it. I put money down and I'm financing it, but there's something to be said for holy shit, I actually just bought a car. This is like my baby and I don't want anybody to touch it.
You're a grown up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
When I got like literally it's the same with my dumbbells and my weights. It's not a cheap the more I get into it, fitness is not cheap. It's to own, right? Um, but I'm literally like I'm so proud that I actually own that stuff and I was the one who paid for it and I was the one who worked for it, right? And I think a lot of times people just get and they don't give a shit. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
last points?
I don't think so. I mean, I think, invite as much abundance into your life as you can.
Yeah.
when you get feelings of scarcity, when you think, oh, I can't do that, or I can't afford that, push those thoughts away. Think in terms of how can I afford this?
Yeah.
Because that will invite the abundance to come into your life. As soon as you turn the light off, it's dark. If you keep a little bit of light on, then you have a chance for more light to come. So, wow, I said that. So,
That was good. I like that.
um, that's all I really have to say.
Right.
Go work in a soup kitchen. Go do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
You're inviting more life force into your own life by doing so.
Yeah. Stop making the excuses is kind of where I want to go with that. Don't let your excuses control you. Don't let money control you. You control it. Right. And a lot of people will look at that statement and hear that statement and are just like, oh yeah, that's smart. Really write it down and really look into what it means to have yourself control the money. Look at your life right now and see how it's controlling you. Right. Aside from that, that's pretty much it.
Good.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening. This is Total Fitness Podcast again. Again, if you guys have any questions, any comments, please drop us a question in either direct message form on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Leave a comment below. And anything else?
Well, watch the exercises. Try the exercises. Watch the recipes. Try the food. It's good. Um, keep in touch with us. This
Yeah,
is a dialogue between us and you, not just us. So
exactly.
get in touch.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.